appeal after they lost their High Court challenge to the government's decision to cut benefits for residents with spare bedrooms. Well, joining us is Richard Stein. He's a solicitor who represents two of the other families involved in the case. And Mr. Stein, this does seem to be a fairly comprehensive defeat for your cause. We've got the Judge Laws actually saying that the whole idea of trying to extend human rights into this area through the courts is inappropriate, that basically the government has made its decision.
Well, the position isn't that simple. Last year...
That's what he said, though.
Well, that's what he said, and that's the wonder of appeal courts. Appeal courts remarkably frequently overturn decisions of first instance courts. Basically, last year, in a similar set of circumstances, the Court of Appeal decided that disabled children were entitled to have a separate bedroom. It was unlawful for the government to take the approach they've taken in these cases. So now the government are having to change the rules so that a disabled child is entitled to their own bedroom. We were most surprised, as well as disappointed, that this court decided that somehow there was a different approach to be taken to an adult couple who couldn't share a bedroom because one of them had a surgical single bed and therefore there wasn't room for her partner. So we're confident that we'll go on and win in the Court of Appeal.
But what he seems to have said, and there was a further ruling where he said that under British law you didn't just simply incorporate the European Convention of Human Rights, you needed a separate Act of Parliament to do that. What he appears to be saying is not whether he thinks it's right or wrong that people should be treated in this way, but that a sovereign government can pass laws and do it.
Well, I think that's not right. The provisions that we're talking about are in the Human Rights Act. And indeed, the Court of Appeal in this case last year, in very similar circumstances, decided that the government couldn't do what they did in relation to children. And as I said before, there's no obvious distinction.
Well, as you said, he did say that the government has now got to come forward and say what it's going to do about children. What about people in this situation of receiving benefit with a disabled member of the family, an adult disabled member? How many people do you think are going to be affected by this and are going to have to move?
There are a huge number. In fact, I was really surprised to note that the bedroom tax hits primarily disabled people. There's, I think, out of 600,000 families affected, I think getting on for 500,000 of them are disabled people. So that's what's particularly pernicious. This is, you know, not aiming at anybody's undeserving poor. These are the poor people that really can't do anything about it. And that's what makes it particularly appalling, frankly.
OK, well, let's bring in Charlotte and Jayson Carmichael, who are in their home in Southport now. They're one of the 10 families who brought this case. Give us your reaction to this judgment today and explain to us how it's going to affect your life.
Oh, yeah, Oh, you can talk to us both, but I think my wife's tired today. But yeah. Do you want to
OK, well, Jayson, I was just explain to us your situation there at your home and how this ruling is going to affect how you and your wife live.
Well, we're very worried and apprehensive at the moment because our discretionary housing payment is due to run out in a few weeks, and we'll have to go into filling all these demeaning means testing forms in all over again, and the stress is just building up for me as a carer and of course my wife as a disabled person. So I don't know how we're going to get along in the next few weeks with this judgment, this really devastating judgment, which is no justice in it whatsoever.
Remind us of your situation there. You currently have 2 bedrooms, but the government are saying you only need 1. Why do you say to them that you need 2 bedrooms in your home?
Yes, if you can see the bed that I'm sitting on, my wife's lying in at the moment. She's on bed rest most of the time. It's a hospital bed and it has a special electronic mattress which the NHS provide. And she needs this to control a pressure sore medical condition that keeps recurring without this mattress. So I can't sleep in this bed as well. I've got to sleep in the one other bedroom that we have, and that's why we need these 2 bedrooms, because in either bedroom there isn't enough room for 2 single beds. So we're in a bit of a pickle with it, a quandary, and the government should come out and do the assessment on this or something, you know, and exempt us.
Well, is there a chance that could happen? I mean, the government, obviously, if you can't get 2 beds into a room, it seems illogical. We were hearing there that Mr. Carmichael's going to fill out some more forms. I mean, even without this law, in his case, could there be a change of heart? That's
exactly the problem. That the rules set out in the housing benefit rules say who's entitled to a bedroom. A couple's entitled.
But the government does say it's found, I think, £35 million for discretionary payments, which might well cover circumstances like
the current arrangement that the Carmichaels have. They're currently getting a discretionary housing payment, but as Mr. Carmichael said, that runs out in October. So they're going to be left in this position where they have to keep applying. With all the other worries in life, they'll have that worry. But the critical point is that there was £25 million put aside for disabled people whose properties, where they needed to move and have their properties having extra sort of services put in for them. But this extra 35 million added today was to help people like the Carmichaels. The trouble is, the reality is that that won't go anywhere near the sort of hundreds of millions of pounds that are required. My understanding is that that the whole of the bedroom tax was supposed to save some 400 or 500 million. Given that most of the people affected are disabled people, there won't be enough money to go around all of the people who are in need.
And in the meantime, does fighting this case mean that people like the Carmichaels are going to face very big legal bills at some point?
No, obviously legal aid, because of their means, legal aid covers this case. That's how the case is being funded at present. And clearly, to be able to go on to the Court of Appeal, we'll have to justify that we've got a strong case. But we're convinced that that this judgment is wrong and that we will be successful in overturning it in the Court of Appeal.
Well, thank you.